welcome to our podcast, the one and only podcast beyond headlines and beyond assumptions. So, if this is your first time tuning into our channel, I am Adawia and
Aisha.
So, today's episode is going to be very bold, raw, and real. So Aisha, do you think what are we going to talk about today?
So today, we are going to talk about a conflict that really puts a public international law to the test: the Russian-Ukraine war. So, we all learned that international law is supposed to prevent war, protect civilians, and hold states accountable. But when we really look at what's happening in Ukraine, it feels like the law is there, but it's not really working.
Okay, Aisha, if I were going to ask you between war or peace, which one would you choose?
Peace.
Yes, peace, of course. Okay, so in today's talk, we will look at whether international law actually effective and relevant in resolving dispute between Russia and Ukraine, like Aisha said. So,
Yes, also, we will walk through the issues, the real challenges, and finally, what's going to find along this talk, and what can realistically be done.
so as everyone can see, we have a very, very amazing panels with us today. Beside me, this beautiful young lady, Miss Nazreen, who is a journalist.
And beside me is the most handsome boy, which is Mr. Fauzan, the activist humanitarian.
So at the center of the Russia-Ukraine war, I think there's an quite uncomfortable reality where, for me, international law, it looks strong on paper, but when it comes to practice, it's often falls short.
Exactly, Ms. Adawia. One of the biggest problem is about enforcement. International law doesn't have the strong mechanism to punish violation, especially when the state that involved is the strongest one.
In this case, the legal position is actually very clear, and Russian invasion actually violates Article 2, Clause 4, Articles UN Nation Charter, which prohibits the use of force against another states.
But despite of the clear violation, the war is still ongoing. So the real issue here isn't about whether the law is exists, but is about whether the law that can actually stop the powerful state from ignoring it.
Wow, that's interesting. So since you have highlighted the enforcement problem, Nazreen, can you walk us through the key legal issues that arise from this conflict?
Okay, sure, Ms. Adawia. From my point of view as someone who have been working in journalism industry for many years, I could say that there are three main issues regarding the Russia and Ukraine war, which is the first major one is about the enforcement. International law doesn't have an automatic or compulsory enforcement mechanism, which means that there is no international police force. Hence, this compliance depends solely on the state whether they want to follow the law or not. And when a powerful state like Russia ignores the international law, the system are not immediate consequence, which means that there is exposing the fragility of the international legal system.
Oh, so this is where the United Nations comes in, particularly in the Security Council, right?
In theory, yeah, is a yes, but in practice, the United Nations Security Council is paralyzed because Russia is one of the permanent member, and also they have a veto power.
Wow, that sounds like a serious structural flaw.
Yeah, it is. And actually, another critical issue is about the violation of Jewish Congress norm, where it especially have about the absolute prohibition on the use of force.
Wow, those are the highest role in the international law.
Yes, exactly. And even the peremptory norms were ignored, Russia also failed to comply with the interim measure by the International Court of Justice (ICJ) in 2022, which also required it to suspend the military operation. And this compliance sends a dangerous message, which is that the international court order also can be disregarded by powerful state.
Okay, let me guess. Based from my reading, Russia attempted to justify the invasion legally, didn't it?
Yeah, that's really clever of you. Yes, Russia really relied on the controversial claims such as like expanded self-defense and also humanitarian intervention. And these arguments are really rejected and reflect an attempt that to weaponize international law to legitimate an unlawful act.
Alright, let's move on from legal theory to reality. So, Mr. Fauzan,
Yes.
what challenges arise from these legal failures?
So, one major challenge is power imbalance. While international law treats states as equal, another powerful state may enjoy a far more greater protection. Russia's veto power demonstrates selective enforcement, where the weaker states face consequences, but the stronger ones does not.
Oh, and did you guys know that the civilians end up paying out for the price?
Yes, exactly. The civilians, areas, and infrastructure have been heavily damaged, leading to displacement, especially among children and elderly. These are serious violations of international humanitarian and human rights law, yet accountability remains weak.
What role do international courts play here?
The ICC and ICJ can make legal determinations, but they lack enforcement power. So the state immunity further complicates efforts to secure reparation or compensations, even when legal responsibility is established.
Mr. Fauzan, given all these problems, what solution that public international law realistically offer to us?
Okay, first, international institutions must be strengthened and transformed to improve the efficiency and reduce bureaucratic delays. Second, legal and regulatory reforms are needed to address modern forms of warfare, including cyber operations and autonomous weapons. Thirdly, accountability mechanism must be reformed. International courts should be supported with clearer enforcement and repression frameworks.
Wait, so were there any immediate responses that are made specific to Ukraine?
Yes, sanctions remain important in setting a clear precedent that aggressive wars will not be tolerated. At the same time, strengthening Ukraine's military and economy helps safeguard its sovereignty when legal mechanisms fall short.
So I could see that the issue isn't that the international law is irrelevant, but is that it needs serious reform to deal with power politics.
Everyone, we are back with our second segment, and as you can see, we have panels from different backgrounds, and they are so extraordinary, I promise you. Okay, so beside me is Mr. Hyril. He is a journalist for now, and
Okay, so besides me is, she may not be in court, but she's already cross-examined life itself. A law student training arguments, logic, and late-night study sessions. Give it up to our guest, Neural INBT Rosheisi! Woo!
okay, so back to our conversation. Nice to meet you, Mr.
Nice
Hyril.
to meet you too.
Okay, so after looking at the challenges that's stated by our first panel just now, so what did exactly your research show?
Okay, so basically there is only one question that have to be answered today. International law, is it for some people or it applies to all? Some applies to it, some write the law itself. So basically, we have to understand that why the international law only applicable to some and not all, whereby the law sees everyone as the same. So first, it goes back to sovereign equality. So let's talk about the Ukrainian war between Ukraine and Russia, and why international law is struggling to keep up. So first of all, in reality, Russia sits above everyone because they have the veto power in the UN Security Council. So on paper, it does look like ICJ, ICC is doing their work, as they did issue a warrant to Russia to stop whatever war that has been going on. But it sounds powerful, but it's not, because in the legal side they can only voice out the law itself, but it only applies to some, because as we can see, Russia has a lot of power in this sense. So the ICC and ICS only can speak. Sorry, ICC, they can only speak and they can only voice out, but until that extent only, not further than that, because we can see that Russia is a very powerful nation. So that is why the double standard in terms of applicability of the law itself.
So moving on to Ms. Ain, I would like to ask you, based on the issue that we have discussed earlier, what do you think the conclusions that we can draw, and what can actually be done to counter this conflict?
First of all, everyone, one key finding that for me is international law is still important, but it's not enough. The UN Security Council veto system seriously weakened enforcement. And for me, it doesn't mean international law is useless. It's not totally useless, but it needs to be reformed. And the institution need to be strengthened. The legal framework updated to deal with the modern welfare, and accountability mechanism need to be improved and improvised. And like I said, in the short terms, things like sanction, military support, and economic assistance is still necessary to respond to the aggressions. Okay, second.
The Ukraine war wants to really teach us about the international law.
So, personally for me, it shows us that international law is still matters, but without strong enforcement, its impact doesn't really show.
Yeah.
I agree with you. The rule exists, but at the end of the day, the power influence how and when does the rule applies.
Yes, and that is actually the uncomfortable truth, right? Like international law, it will always remain relevant, but it only works when accountability keeps power in check.
Alright, so before we wrap up, I would like to extend my sincere thanks to our panelists here for sharing their insights and perspective with us today. Your contributions can truly enrich our discussion today. So, Anuya, how many stars you want to give to our panel and the viewers today?
Yes, I give them 10,000 stars!
Okay. So thank you for tuning in to Beyond the Truth. If you enjoyed today's discussion, don't forget to stay with us for more unfiltered conversation on global issues. Until next time, stay curious and keep questioning the truth. Oh.
Lepas tu lipat itu.